Cool. Well, let's get rolling here. We are excited to be hanging out with Crypto Monks tonight. And if you just want to take it away, kind of introduce yourselves, and this is your show. So let's get rolling.
Beautiful. Appreciate you guys, Og and Capper, for having us. I'm excited to introduce the team and more excited to share and give the team the ability to share their stories, how they got into this space, how Monks became a thing, and a bit of their vision of what's to come in the Crypto Monks future. So before I get started, my name's Rob. Some of you might know me by Internet Money. And yeah, I'm not going to go into a whole backstory myself. I'm more so just going to introduce the team. But I know there's probably a lot of questions right off the bat. The good old when mint, how mint, total supply, mint price, all that. So we'll get that right out of the way. And I can guarantee you that once you guys listen in, guys and girls listen in to the Crypto Monks team, you may or may not be blown away by what they're up to. So I'm really excited for you all to hear that. And if you pay close attention to the end, I think you guys put it out on your Twitter already, right? We've got at least 50 whitelist spots to give away. So we'll explain exactly how to get yourself whitelisted, aka become an enlightened monk in our Discord in the temple. So yeah, just to kind of cut through the basic stuff. We will be minting towards the end of January. At the moment, the minting date is not announced yet, but obviously we will be putting that out as soon as we can in our Discord. We have a total supply of 3,333 crypto monks, and the mint price will be 0.08 ETH per monk. How to get whitelisted? A lot of people will be asking. Hopefully, everyone listening in live right now will be able to get one of those 50 spots towards the end of the call. But over the past 3-4 weeks now, we've been rolling out what we call temples, which are games, riddles, scavenger hunts, whatever you want to call them. We've went through 5 temples so far and have officially whitelisted just shy of 1,000 out of the 3333. So yeah, definitely keep your eyes peeled on future temples. A lot of people are just having a blast with them. I'm curious for everyone listening in live right now, how is your experience with the temples? Let us know in the chat. A lot of people have done one, some have done 2 or 3, some have done all 5 and completed them before the buzzer. So it's been a good time to slowly but surely build this really strong community in the Monks Discord, and super pumped for what's to come. With that said, guys, I don't think I need to cover anything else at the moment. I really just want to introduce the team. So, Josh, are you on with us today, brother?
I'm on. What's up, everyone? My name is Joshua Tatum. My background has been in digital advertising the last 8 years. I founded a company, Canvas Cultures, in 2017. We've done just over 35 million in the last 4 years. It's a global online marketplace for artists. I have worked with over 1,000 artists in those 5 years. So what brought me to Crypto Monks was that we wanted to one create an amazing community. So on the art side, having worked with so many artists, we wanted to find an artist that one could convey what we were trying to create. Two, that could create compelling art, right? Something that would you guys would take pride in, easy to brand. So one of the artists that we've partnered with is Malachi Wright. So Malachi, couple tidbits about him. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's one of the highest grossing artists on social media. He's done just over 1.5 million in canvas sales through my company. Over 180,000 followers. Has been contracted by ESPN, Complex Magazine. His latest artwork was Snoop Dogg's recent album cover. So very compelling stuff. I think this whole project came about working with friends, right? I've known Matthew for over 5 years. I've known Patrick for over 4. Understanding that we've never worked together, but when the opportunity presented itself, we wanted to all bridge our minds because these guys are extremely successful in their fields, and they'll speak about those fields respectively. But to start, I've known Patrick now for some time, and he's the first person to introduce me to Ethereum's blockchain. And when I met him, he was the CTO of Speaker. which is the largest influencer platform in the country during those years. I think in 2020 they showed off, but during that time he managed a team of close to 30 people. And I saw him just organically posting on Facebook, and he was just giving a lot of knowledge, man. He was giving a lot of game. He I'm gonna let him get into his own background, but for me as a novice trader, I saw an opportunity, right? So I hit up Patrick, and I said, "Hey, man, can we meet? Is there a way? This is in 2017. Is there a way that I can learn more about what you're doing?" And he basically explained to me how he was able to map the entirety of Ethereum's blockchain, and how he was able to pinpoint profitable trades, pinpoint the biggest wallets, and make decisions and based on that. And that was very, very, very compelling for me as a as one, a young entrepreneur, but two, a person who was trying to take my own wealth, my own revenue to another level. So learning the space was how I got my start at this. And Matthew, as well, has been a industry leader in affiliate marketing. He's also been in the crypto since 2015. So, I knew that when we wanted to, obviously, the landscape has been changing within the art community. NFTs has been a topic of conversation for my artists and team for the last 12 months. So seeing the shift in energy, one, the ability for these artists to, have um, royalties baked into what they're creating, but not only that, a whole new platform that they can reach, a whole new, type of consumer that they can reach. We saw the writing on the wall, and wanted to create something really beautiful for a community, and that's how this team came together. I'm gonna let Matthew kind of share his story and his background now.
Yo, what's going on, guys? So most people kind of call me Jang. Most people know about Jang in the affiliate marketing space. I'll kind of just go in a bit on that. Um, uh, Basically, been in the affiliate marketing space for about 10 years. And my last venture, we created the front and back end marketing system for an affiliate offer that ended up being responsible for about $100 million in sales from our students. And so, like Josh was kind of saying, I got deep into crypto in about 2015, but I didn't really take NFTs that seriously, really until the beginning of last year, because I really didn't see the business applications until I started people really starting to dial in the utility side, and that's when things started really clicking for me, and I started seeing like, oh fuck, this can be so much more than just JPEG. Like the utility side is the part that got me really, really excited, and so I was like, okay, well, just like in anything, I got to submerge myself in the environment and really figure this stuff out and get in there. And so ended up getting into cybercoms and submerging myself in there, realizing very quickly why people paid for access. That group alone made me $500,000 in the first month I was in there. And so I really started going, holy fuck, like now I get why people are paying for access like this. And I just really started getting into the space there, and really, and the more I kind of dove in, the more I really loved it. I've always loved the crypto space, and I've always wanted to create something in there. But it really didn't really click until I started seeing NFTs and the application there, and I really starting to see the utility side of things. And so we ended up coming to Josh and going like, and knowing that he's connected with a lot of these artists and just asking and seeing if he was looking into it, and he was already looking into the NFT space. And I'm like, dude, we got something really, really cool we can do here. And so as I started getting deeper into the community, I started finding, a lot of different guys and connecting with people that are making, 7, 8, 9 figures. And now we got a tight little group of about 20 of us that are making some pretty big moves. And so we actually opened up like a test group of like our test, what's soon to be Monkz Alpha. And I capped it at about 100 people. And inside of there, we've had people that have never made money in NFTs before make their first 20 grand, 30 grand, 50 grand. I just got 2 texts the last 2 days from a couple guys, one that did 100 grand in the last 2 weeks and one that did over 150. And so we're already getting some really crazy results. And that's going to be one of the pieces of utility that you're going to get with Monkz, is getting access to the alpha group and having contributors that are people that are earning 7, 8 figures in the space, that have portfolios of that size, that are actually doing it. And this is one of the things too, is like, just like in affiliate marketing, when I went to go learn in there, what did I do? I found someone who had the results that I wanted to learn from, and I paid them to learn from them. And so kind of the same thing here was what we were kind of doing, was finding groups that were valuable to be in and kind of paying for the information, paying for access. And it really kind of clicked when I saw Gary do this with VFriends, and you're seeing like, oh, everyone gets 3 years tickets to his event. You get a one-on-one call with him. You get this or you get that. And I really started clicking at how much more we could do and what other things that we could be able to give to holders. And so one of the pieces being the alpha, being a very small part. And as you get kind of Patrick going into his skill set here. This is where we can start doing some really, really cool stuff when it comes to leveraging on-chain data and leveraging basically being able to track and follow whales and what they're doing, whether it's what coins they're buying, what liquidity pools they're getting into, what NFTs they're getting into, and then how we can kind of aggregate that data to make educated buying decisions. And so that's one of the pieces that we want to be able to do is create an amazing community together where we're all we're showing what actually works right now from people that are actually making millions of dollars doing this, not just random people that are just throwing stuff up. And so, got really, really, really good results so far just in the test group. And then maybe what I'll do, Patrick is one of the smartest people to know, and he's one of the world leading experts when it comes to blockchain analytics. And when you get to hear kind of his story and his background, some of the stuff that he can do, and some of the cool other pieces of utility that we're going to be doing inside of Monkz, I think it'll get you guys really, really excited. So, Patrick, you here, brother?
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Yeah, so again, I really appreciate it. The Chibi community, you guys are great. And I've been following you guys for quite some time and participating with Josh over the while. He actually introduced me to Sean quite a while ago. But anyways, a little bit about me. I've been an engineer working in data science and finance for the past 15 years. In 2015, I was the CTO of one of the fastest growing tech companies in North America called Speaker. We were based out of Hollywood here in California, where we partnered with some of the largest brands in advertising, as well as creative agencies like Time Inc., Condé Nast, CAA, Creative Artists Agency, and then other big companies like Google, Facebook, Microsoft. But we were the largest social influence analytics company, managing campaigns for about 250,000 of the most influential personas on social media. But I personally was aggregating about 300 million profiles a day from different social networks. So in 2017, when the ICO craze started to come around, I went head deep into on-chain analysis. And believe it or not, blockchains are actually very similar to social networks because everything on a blockchain is basically transparent. You can see, well, most blockchains, you can see every transaction, right? Which means you can see who it was from and who it went to and how much value was actually passed. So what I did was I actually started mapping out all of the wallets and transactions on Ethereum to find the wallets that were making the most money. And I actually started doing this for most of the largest hedge funds in cryptocurrency. So if you want to see what some of this stuff actually looks like, I'm just going to drop a couple examples here in the chat. But you can see some of the mapping activity that I would do very early on. In fact, this is how I met Josh, was to follow wallets that were purchasing tokens from ICO contracts and then following them to exchanges. So what we used to do is we would map out the relationships between wallets and different token contracts and identify which ones were doing the most volume, how much they were selling, when they were buying, how much they were buying, what the target price was that they were buying at. And then we would basically build a strategy around that. We would follow them to the exchanges that they were selling at. And then basically what we would do is we would find a different exchange to liquidate, basically creating a strategy out of it. So anyways, this also led to us speaking at the 2018 World Economic Forum in Davos. We were actually the first blockchain analytics firm to present there. So anyways, what does this leave us? Basically, a lot of this information was meant to be designed for the public. And as we continue to talk about crypto and the development of crypto, NFTs are basically the gateway to access to most of the information that will be shared. So Monkz is basically, from a technical perspective, I can tell you a little bit more about it. It's an ERC 1155 contract, which is actually a multi-token standard contract. Anybody that knows anything about non-fungible tokens, typically you hear ERC 721, but the ERC 1155 allows us to actually create multiple different types of tokens, including ERC 20, ERC 721, and something that's a little bit different to the community, which is semi-fungible tokens. So each crypto monk actually gives you access to the Monkz battle contract, which we call Ascension. And Ascension is actually where crypto monks battle for control over the protocol itself. This also includes the organizational units that they can control, which means access to Ascension, managing the treasury, managing all of the factories that create additional what we would call items, which are things like armor, weapons, and flair that you could basically add to your character as well as all the merchant and production of these items and marketing. So, like Josh and Matt said, with myself kind of being the added value and the personal effect of CryptoMonkz, the battle contract also allows us to factionalize the members of CryptoMonkz. So we've got 3 different factions which represent Josh, Matt, and myself, Sohei, Daiko, and Shuhari. And members of CryptoMonkz will also get access to all the tools and experience of the team. Plus, we look forward to building, tools, analytics, and insights for everybody that joins us. So that's a little bit of wrap about Monkz. That's a little bit about myself. And I'm just going to listen for it. Yeah, thanks, guys.
That was like decades worth of knowledge and education and action compressed into like 5 minutes, Patrick. Dude, every time you speak, it blows my mind. I'm going to post in the chat right now. Drop your questions below and we'll answer them up. So yeah, for anyone that has any questions at the moment, feel free to drop them below. I'm curious if Jang or Josh, you have anything else to add on top of Patrick's, not just his background, but obviously where Monkz is headed as well in the technical perspective.
I actually have a question, if you guys don't mind me asking. I mean, I'd love to hear more about these factions. I mean, it seems like you guys have so much really baked into this overall project. I wanna hear a little bit more about the factions and how that plays into the project.
Yeah, so definitely the factions are actually just an added benefit for defense, right? So creating factions and joining a faction actually gives you a more defensive position and will protect you from being attacked. A lot of this stuff, just so you know, will be published in our light paper, which is coming out here pretty shortly.
Oh, that's cool. So are these factions that are something kind of baked into the NFTs already, or do you choose your factions in your Discord when you onboard, or how does that work?
So initially we were going to bake about 500 individuals to each faction and then cut the rest out as unfactioned just to kind of get a early distribution. And then from the factions, you can actually switch your factions at any point in time. The way that we have it kind of picked up right now is that it is limited to a number of 500, but you will be able to switch your faction at a later date.
Okay, that's cool. And I mean, I'd love to hear more about, the quest that you guys have live and how that really works.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I mean, what I really love about the factions, man, is the ability to create these groups within and have them focus on different things, right? So, like Daiko would be my faction. We're focusing more on branding, on merchants. Shahari's focusing more on treasury and assets, and Sohei is focusing more on marketing and influence. So within these factions, man, it gives us the ability to one, find the most competent, the most equipped, right? When we say we're battling for control, we're doing just that. So, the monks that are armored, have the right weaponry. All these things come into place when we're pinpointing who can represent that said faction, right? So it's really almost like Hunger Games where 5. Yeah, we will be appointing. Well, the community will be appointing because this is fully decentralized. The community will appoint its leaders. The community will have influence and say on the decision making of the DAO, which is Ascension. So I think it's really
that is so amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, and maybe Patrick, you can go into a little bit of the treasury and some of the stuff that we can do with like on-chain data and how that can benefit others.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, factionalization creates some kind of easier way to do representation when you look in context of autonomous organizations or DAOs, right? Secondly, there are already a lot of great models for how to develop a decentralized autonomous organization. The most common, which has been used by many of the largest DAOs out there, would be the Moloch DAO, which later became Olympus DAO. There's many different versions of it, but one of the things that happens in a DAO is you'll get stagnation between its users because you usually get the initial people to pitch in And that's what we call, either a dowry or some kind of contribution to the DAO. And then, after a little bit of while, you get a little bit of market cap that comes out of it, but it kind of stays stagnant. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to inspire people basically through the means of self-preservation to participate in our DAO. So the idea being that, Ascension itself, if you don't participate, you don't basically get any of the rewards. We want everybody that holds crypto Monkz to basically be participatory in the process. Secondly, you can eliminate other voters from playing, other players from voting by basically attacking and killing their character before the voting period is up. After that, basically, you have different methods of defense. You have also different methods of attack. And there's a lot of layers that go on top of that. But one of the things that will be nice is we do plan on making the NFTs layers, actual NFTs themselves. And that's one of the benefits of using the ERC 1155 token standards, that we can do that.
So from my understanding, is this going to be funneled into some type of game, where are you guys creating an app? Are you building out a UI interface on a website? Just to, just expand on this a little bit more and know what to kind of look for.
Yeah, absolutely. So there will be an interface for this on the site. Not initially. It is basically a voting contract that is being developed for this to happen. But we're actually helping for the most part, the community actually tells us what direction to go from after
great.
that, right? So it is just like any other DAO, is a process of voting and electing members to representation. But this is far more incentivized because of what we would call self-preservation, or trying to defend your right to vote. So.
And just another question. Sorry for just dragging this on. I know you guys talked about each faction kind of battling it out. Is there what's at the end of this? When one faction wins, or is it more privileged to be inside these three factions?
Okay, so typical DAOs, you'll have a voting period which is drawn out through, depending on the contract, right? If you use like an Open Zeppelin contract, typically it's an ERC20 token that you send to a contract that basically blackballs certain voters, but approves votes and whitelists of other voters, right? So we wanted to get rid of that. And we basically just wanted to make it a feudalistic process where if you vote and you survive, your vote counts. If you don't, it does not count. You do not get the reward of it. But basically, one of the things that we did too is we created something what we call chambers, right? A chamber is basically what you would call a board member in a typical organization. And by reducing the amount of people that can actually vote on the final outcome of a proposition, we can move this much faster.
Awesome.
Marketing. Sorry, I just saw a question here about marketing plans. Yes, we actually do. That's part of the organization itself, is to be marketing through the community that we have, right? So you guys will see basically everything that's going on.
And maybe there's another question above here, Patrick, where they're kind of talking. They brought up like the world token LP, maybe kind of going into like how we can be leveraging on-chain data and with the treasury stuff, and like kind of like the liquidity pools and some of the stuff we can do there.
Yeah, definitely. So just a funny little story. I don't know if I have the pictures here, but I was trying to prove to these guys for a long time that there's really, really great ways of using on-chain methodologies to find alpha that we would consider, any type of position at a high frequency trading fund. There's a little bit of due diligence that would go into this. So we were looking at World Token just recently. I think everybody that bought a World NFT had some World Token basically airdropped to them. And for the last week, we quit a couple of days ago because of volatility in the market, but we were averaging about 1,500 to 2,500% a day. With $60,000 that we parked in there, we basically made $13,000 in 6 days just doing LP. So the way that I was able to look at that was obviously because of us in the group talking about what possibilities we have. Oh yeah, there's a picture of it right there. So this position, you can actually, if you guys want to look at the wallet address, I can even send the wallet address so you can actually see the positions. But that's one of the things. I'm very familiar with all of the liquidity protocols. I've been mapping liquidity protocols and the number one contributors to liquidity protocols for pretty much the last 4 years. So finding which LPs are being utilized, which ones are the safest. Basically, all of this stuff, if you guys haven't figured out the decentralized world, is there's a lot of risk with LP, by the way. There's a ton, but I'm just kind of describing our position. So Anyways, what we're going to try to do is basically show people the numbers, and the numbers don't really lie. I mean, on-chain data doesn't lie. You can see every transaction is published and broadcasted. So, developing heuristics about how to trade on this stuff is actually very, very easy to do. You just need to know where to look.
So essentially, like creating a community where, one, we have the alpha group where we're leveraging on-chain data to show the different NFT projects and liquidity pools and stuff like that we're getting in. Also with the treasury having the ability to propose things just like this. Like if we went to go to the point and go, hey, with the treasury we have X amount. Do we want to put? Patrick proposes, here's a pool that looks good. We've looked through all the analytics, so it looks good. And we can put some of those funds to work. That's one of the big things too, is that like you see a lot of these DAOs where they take in these funds and they just buy up an NFT project and they just kind of sit there. We want to kind of get to the point where the holders are actually receiving value out of this. The whole kind of point is that we can kind of do this as a group together. We can also be having the alpha group where we show you guys kind of how to do this all for yourselves and show you the projects that we're getting into and the pools that we're getting into and the coins that we're getting into. But then at the same time, also being able to have tools that you as holders would be able to have access to that can kind of help you make these kind of decisions.
Yeah. So one of the things that I always used to hear all the time at high frequency trading funds was, if I could tell you what the most performant traders are buying right now, how many of you guys would probably go and buy it? And then I tell you, would you buy it right now if I told you I was going to tell 100,000 people the same thing? And that's kind of what happens with this mentality. I mean, it's the Wall Street Bets bros that are basically blasting a message out to a community, and as long as that message makes sense, it gains traction. That's what we call a reflexive market, right? Anybody that's been in the trading industry has probably read George Soros, but reflexivity is a market theory about how markets react to themselves, basically. So this is a very social event. That's why having a strong group of people that can all understand and identify with the information that they're given is very, very important.
Awesome, man. So I see a couple of questions coming through. Definitely a few we should probably address first. So when will you publish your roadmap? I don't know, Patrick or Jang, Josh?
I can go over it real quick. It's not a hard set roadmap just because.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say some of the stuff that we've talked about really just kind of depends on how quick the community develops. But version 1 is basically our alpha community development. It's our launching our alpha group, obviously, and then development of the community requires us to, as I said earlier, to reward holders and to punish sellers. Number 2 is our V2 beta, which is the Ascension initialization. We launch Crypto Monkz voting with Ascension, and we'll also be giving away a couple actual little additional tidbits later on. If you stay tuned to the project, but there will be things like weapons and items coming later on in V2. V3, which is what we call another extension of our beta, is about Ascension growth and decentralization. So at this point, hopefully, we have enough community members participating in the voting contract that we can start electing community members to the chambers to manage the Ascension contract itself. And then V4 is basically economies of scale. This is where a lot of Josh's experience and Matt's experience comes into play with marketing and putting out basically trying to grow the Ascension protocol itself. And then beyond that, we want to focus specifically just on Metaverse. So Metaverse is one of the things that we have kind of in the longer version of our roadmap, just because we have a lot of things that we want to nail down beforehand. And we didn't want to make a lot of promises about developing games and such without actually getting this stuff taken care of. So that's a brief summary of what our roadmap looks like right now.
Yeah, awesome, man. And that's all going to be published on the website moving forward as well. That's just about to launch. So we'll put that out in our announcements, obviously, and on our Twitter, everywhere. I think this one's definitely kind of aimed towards Josh. What is your marketing strategy moving forward? Do you want it to be quiet, close-knit, and organic growth, or do you want to expand by reaching influencers and larger accounts?
Yeah, so obviously with a successful e-commerce business, influencers are a part of the marketing strategy. But most importantly, we want to keep this thing really organic. We have some great AMAs lined up. Obviously, coming with my background in art and working with artists, we've had a couple diamonds, within our current industry. Frankie Nines was one of the first artists for Canvas Cultures. He's created Subducks. We'll be speaking with Subducks tomorrow at 6 p.m. We'll be speaking with Wilder World. Some of these, Wilder World has a top 5 metaverse that they're currently creating, and I don't know if you guys saw the news, but they got their first seed of 30 million approved. Pomp is a part of it. Kimball Muss is a part of it. So we'll be speaking in front of these communities, and with aligning ourselves with great communities, obviously, like Chibi, like Sup, like Wilder. We get a chance to share our story, our backgrounds, our vision for the project, and with great synergy, you guys will come on over and join us in building this project.
Perfect, man. Yeah, and not a couple names you mentioned that just like came off the tip of your tongue, but like not too lightly. Pomp, right? Andy Pomp and Kimball Musk, Elon's brother. So they're
Right.
investors and or advisors behind Wilder World. And Josh, I know you're well connected with the team over there at Wilder World. So yeah, pumped to chat with them. So yeah, I guess in summary, a much more organic marketing model rather than paid ads and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, I hope that answers that one up. I think Jang, this one might be aimed towards you because you have a way to simplify the complex. Doge Dad says, "This all happened so fast. I'm not sure I understand what the business model even is here." Right? I know we can discuss some complexities, but Jang, are you open to break
Yeah.
it down to basics?
Yeah, so essentially, like one of the biggest things that we want to be able to do is there's a lot of noise in this space, right? And a lot of people are getting into this space and they don't really know where to look and what the best opportunities are. Our goal and our mission is to be able to, one, provide some of the best alpha that's out there, and we have contributors that are all doing 7-8 figures in this. So having a really high level alpha, but not just doing the traditional style of alpha. Like we're going to be leveraging on-chain data to be able to provide really good tips on projects and pools that we're getting into and all of that stuff. But then as well, being able to do that with kind of like the treasury or the DAO, where we're kind of like being able to collectively do this as a community and grow this to the point where, I mean, if you guys can see, Patrick's experience with funds and stuff like that, like we can do some really, really cool stuff as a community that benefits everyone all together. And so in one sense, we have, a treasury or a DAO that kind of benefits everyone else as a whole, whether they're participating, and then basically inside of the alpha is kind of something where you guys can be kind of taking action on that stuff yourself. And you guys are getting information from not only us, but also some of the on-chain data that we're able to leverage here so that we're making really, really educated decisions on the things that we're actually going to be jumping into and getting to the point where we're getting into some of the best projects before everyone else. We're getting into opportunities before other people even see them as opportunities because we're leveraging data that a lot of people don't really know where to look for. And then getting to the point where not only do we have all of that, but we also have tools that you guys would be able to leverage to be able to help with all of this stuff. So essentially, as a community as a whole, would be able to help everyone really kind of navigate this space and kind of weed through all of the fluff and really get to like the good opportunities that are out there. Hopefully that kind of explains that whole part there.
Yeah, man, and maybe what's important, because I've listened into a good amount of project overviews, AMAs, that kind of thing as well, is the time frame. Because I know there's a ton of projects out there, right? And they have these really pretty roadmaps on their websites, and they're like, yeah, this is coming, and a DAO or a treasury or a fund or a game or a metaverse or all this stuff, right? So, like, can you touch on some of the time frame as far as how quickly can we start leveraging Patrick's background, his experience, his ability within the space as a community, and also maybe as an educational basis, as well as to tie into this next question: will the DAO will Ascension, right, be able to use funds in combination with the analytics, like you guys did with the World Token as an example liquidity pool? And can the funds generated be sent back to the holders, kind of like a hedge fund DAO?
So, yeah, obviously I love talking about this stuff, and I can talk about this stuff for hours, and I do pretty much every night on Discord. So, one of the things that I can tell you is I've been actively working on contracts very similar to Visor, right? one of the things that I thought would be really beautiful to build for the community is the ability to actually get into positions with each other, but have a smart contract to basically manage the allocation and when people pull from the position. So a lot of this stuff doesn't exist, but I've created a lot of this stuff in the past. And I know NFTs is, this is all relatively uncharted territory. But I have built a lot of the software for mapping this stuff out for a lot of tax professionals and crypto tax companies. But I've also done work with like the SEC and the DEA and the FBI, following wallets that had suspicious activity or that were, basically using stolen funds or had suspicious contracts. This stuff, like I said, you can't escape it on Ethereum. Every transaction is visible. So mapping this out has a ton of extended value. Another thing is too, as this community develops, the world is going to change around us, right? So putting hard set dates on things, I think leads to a lot of disparagement between the community. I can tell you what the roadmap looks like, but I cannot tell you hard dates on anything right now. And I've just kind of known that from being in my years of software development with something as volatile as the crypto community, that nailing down a date without absolute certainty is kind of a death nail in the coffin, right? So I don't want to do that just yet, but I can tell you right now that a lot of the focus is going to be built around, first of all, making sure that our community members are active and they're engaged, right? That's the point of Ascension, right? Is to keep some kind of incentive around for the members of the community. Secondly, is to make sure that they are safe, right? I don't know if you guys have ever had to deal with this, but there's a lot of tools out there that are robbing people blind of all their Ethereum, and people putting up fake websites all the time. So just understanding this whole entire space is a bit difficult, but it's something that we kind of champion, right? So that's some of the stuff that you can expect. This is the stuff that I do basically daily.
Well said, PJ.
Perfect, man. Yeah, so I see a couple of questions coming through for like how do we get eligible for whitelist spots, etc. Stick around to the end. I think maybe we got another few questions to go through. And I know Chibi Dinos has already posted on their Twitter. We'll be giving away at least 50 whitelist spots. So very, very soon we'll drop some info on how to get yourself the enlightened monk role over in the Crypto Monkz Discord. This one, I'm not sure who this one would go for. Maybe Patrick. And the rest of the other guys, how much of a dollar barrier would be on average to take advantage of a lot of these plays, would you say? So I guess, maybe.
Oh, that's a great question. So actually one of the wallets that I follow, believe it or not, works with nothing less than 3.5 million in a position, which is absolutely fascinating. He is also one of the largest, he's actually the largest private holder of crypto with about 2 billion of private net worth tied in just Ethereum alone. And what's interesting is he can set a position and he'll make $20,000 or $30,000 an hour doing Uniswap V3 liquidity positions. When I set a position, maybe I'll be 100,000, 300,000. If I'm working at a fund, maybe it'll be 1 million, right? So they're never quite as large as his. And so what we'll do is we'll try to elongate the time that we have exposure in those positions. So if you're familiar with Uniswap V3, you basically set a high point and a low point for your price target, and you basically auto market make in that position through that price range. And so what I'll do is I'll typically sit outside of that price range. I'll set my bounds a little bit wider so I stay in range a little bit longer. But most of the times, the reason that these people are so good at what they do is because they have access to better information. And so one of the things, I'm just going to kind of drop this as a hint here. When I was doing work for the SEC, we were so good at doing this stuff that we could spot insider trading, basically wallets that were taking advantage of information before it was leaked to the public. And because we saw this stuff all the time, and because blockchain data is public, what we found is it's actually completely legal to trade on insider trading as long as the data is public, because it's public data. Now, it's not okay to do insider trading, obviously, but if you can see the information, you can still take advantage of it. It's the same way that people follow Nancy Pelosi, right, in options trading. So it's really interesting. Like I said, these positions, most of the time, it's based off of some kind of signal. It's not based off of rationale. So that's one of the most important things to learn from this.
Perfect. And a little follow-up.
And
Go ahead, Jang.
Yeah, and when I saw one person was saying like for the DAO, like would that be something that could get paid out to holders? Like that would be something as well that everyone could vote on. And if everyone votes on that, hey, should we liquidate this position, or hey, there's some profit here, should we pay it out? Like that would be things that the community can all kind of vote on for stuff like that. And then I see a question here about on the marketing side. When we say organic, that doesn't mean we're not doing any paid advertising. We're not doing any influencers. We definitely are we're just making sure that we're doing it with strategic people, and we're doing it with people that actually want to be around for the longer term. We're not just going to go find a shiller that we're going to pay to just promote something and then bounce and not do anything again. So there will be aspects of that, but we wanted to do it in a way where, when we say organically, like you'll see over the next week here, we have AMAs lined up every single day. Like we got Subducks tomorrow at 6 p.m. We got some pretty big communities like Wilder World that we're going to be jumping into, because we want to really like kind of let the project speak for themselves, get in front of people, and when people kind of see what it is that we're doing and what we're looking to accomplish, and the value that we're trying to bring to all of our holders. Every single time we've done a call like this, people really start to get it and they go, holy shit. If I was able to leverage on-chain data like the way Patrick does, that would be fucking huge for me. And if I could, if we could do that kind of stuff all together as a group, in the DAO, but also be able to kind of take action on that stuff on your own, people get really, really excited when they're able to kind of take advantage of stuff like this. And so we'll be definitely taking an organic approach, meaning like we're not paying for advertising for the AMAs and stuff, but we want to be getting into a lot of these bigger projects and kind of letting them see the vision of the project as we go. That doesn't mean that we're not paying for influencers. We do have a few influencers that are on the team, and we do have some advertising that we're going to be paying for as we go through with our backgrounds, especially being in paid advertising. It is something that we're definitely going to be doing. So it's not that we're just going to be doing and leaving everything up to organic, but we are taking a more organic approach where we're not trying to do, you see a lot of these projects that go and they get bot followers inside of their Discord, they get bot followers on their Twitter just to inflate the numbers and make it look cool. We really would rather take I don't want to say more honest approach, but it's just basically like we don't want to have fake followers coming in or bot followers or anything like that. We only want to be working with kind of legit people as we go, and kind of like taking more of like a slow burn approach. Like when people start to see this and get really excited about the project and want to be here long term, that naturally starts to grow, and it creates, a community that is all kind of really bought into the project. And the reason why we grow is because they're bought into the project, not because we just paid this big influencer to push it and everyone's hyped about it. People are excited about the actual project and the value and the utility behind it.
See, I do have a quick question. After the initial 3333 launch, what is the growth strategy beyond that? Is there like a 2.0 or what? What's the approach there?
Do you guys want me to go into a little bit of detail, or Matt, do you want to handle that?
Yeah, you can go into it.
Okay, yeah. So what's great about NFTs is every smart contract has an ABI that can be decoded. So we're able to actually create Ascension wrappers, which are like vaults, basically, that will be able to wrap existing NFT projects that are approved by the Ascension DAO. So if you don't get on the early whitelist, again, there will be other opportunities later on for you to join. But obviously, sooner the better. We've incentivized a lot of the early stuff coming on. But Matt, did you want to talk a little bit more about the versions of Monkz that we have?
Yeah, so essentially we'll have V2s that will come later on. So the initial Monkz that'll come, you'll get the initial monk. It won't have weapons and armor, and you'll get a couple free mints with those that are going to all kind of come together and increase the utility that you'll get with that initial monk. Like Patrick was talking about, we can have them we can have them kind of give out ERC20s. We can do a lot. We can do a lot with this stuff. So I won't get too much into detail of that part. But then after those, you'll get to a V2, which we're looking at being playable in Sandbox. We're looking at as well Wilder World as well. So these would be like 3D playable characters. We already have a 1 of 100 Fantasy Island in Sandbox that will kind of be like Monk's Clubhouse kind of thing. And we're looking at land inside of Wilder World and a few other places as well to be building out kind of some experiences inside of there as well too. So there will be V2 versions where do we want to go into the detail?
Not too much details. We've got some other great questions here. Yeah, we've got some other great questions here. One of them for NeurApp 420, I see. Is there any way to get one of these special NFT projects in spite of not owning a monk? That's up to Ascension itself, right? The community will decide that. And I can tell you one thing that I've learned from being in the high-frequency trading industry for a while is that information is key, right? And the speed at which you receive information is actually the highest factor towards success. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, man, 100%. Like, that's just something like I literally got into the NFT space 5 months ago. I've done like many seven figures since by hanging out with these guys, right? And I can swear, like, the two biggest factors of being successful in this space is number one, how much time you spend in front of your damn computer. But number two, most importantly, is how close are you to the source of information and that speed of information coming back at you. Someone like Patrick, like deconstructing slash reconstructing, following the biggest whales on the ETH blockchain for years. It's wild the stuff he knows. I got a couple more questions that came up. Josh, I see you unmuted yourself. You got something?
No, I'm just listening in.
All righty. Nikki says, this is what I need is to learn from all of you who know so much more than me on navigating projects that are worth looking into and the trash, and how to actually make some money in the space. You guys are Einstein level with this shit. To follow into the real question from Voice, these kind of tools are normally not for the individual person. Why open up to the public when you can charge private investors a lot?
That's a great question, and that's one that I used to get all the time from funds. It's like, hey, why would you share this information? Well, first of all, it's always a race to the bottom of blockchain data. That's one of the things that I found out very early on. Because blockchain data is public, it'll basically be in everybody's hands at some point in time. It's only inevitable, right? Everybody has access to this. It's just knowing how to structure, the data so it's not garbage in, garbage out, basically. But it is costly, at least right now. But there are some short-term solutions to cutting down the cost. Secondly, one of the things about giving this to individual investors is what I was talking about earlier. There's actually a pattern that goes to the way that cycles boom and bust. And it's a signal type that we call, it's not a sinusoidal wave, but it's a wave pattern commonly found in audio synthesis, believe it or not. I actually learned this from I think it was one of Skrillex's sound engineers back in the day when I was working at Speaker. But it's called an ADSR envelope. And that basically describes the way that an attack, decay, sustain, and release of any type of signal is emitted, right? And so the strength of the community really defines the attack curve on an ADSR wave, right? So if you guys are in front of your Google computer, in front of Google Chrome or your computer, just type in ADSR envelope and search what that looks like. And that will basically describe what most boom and bust cycles look like. So one of the things that we were experts at, and this kind of goes back to why using influencers is important, but not always the best approach. Influencers will give you a super high attack rate, but they will also give you a super high decay rate, meaning that you'll boom and bust much harder. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, sorry, that's just a little bit more technical talk about what to expect.
Awesome, man. Very good. Well, I just dropped a little message in the chat that the Enlightened Monk, aka Whitelist spots, are coming very soon. If there's any final questions, drop them down below. I know there are lots come through. We've answered a lot. I thought I saw one more.
Why don't we even, you can give them, because we can be answering questions as well, but you can probably give them the directions for
Yeah, let's do that. Let's
Hit
do
the
that.
whitelist.
All right, so Chinter, Henry, yeah, how's this gonna work? We've got something set up, some special channel in our Discord. We need to collab land up. Everyone that can verify they hold a Chibi Dino is going to be able to. Is everyone going to comment in the channel? And we're going to give out those whitelist rolls like that.
I see a couple additional questions here. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, let's get this out. So, Chitra, does that sound right?
Yeah. So what we'll do is the next well, we can do it one of two ways. It's up to you guys. We could do the next 50 people to verify in our Discord ownership, or we could do ownership specific giveaway.
I think what we ended up having, right, is that so we have the channel set up. So as soon as you guys go into the Monkz Discord, you'll be able to verify that you have a Chibi Dino. And then what we were saying, the first 50 to comment in there. So the first 50 that go in there and verify, you can't post links, but there's the Discord access. Internet just posted there. And so for the first 50 that go in there, you'll verify that you have a Chibi Dino in your wallet. It'll unlock you the Chibi Dino's channel. And so what first 50 people in there that pop in, just say what, Monkz?
Monkz. Do it. The first 50. Yep. Oh, we got people in there already. All right, Angel. Congrats, Chibi Dino Enlightened. You got the whitelist role, my friend. No B. Dylan. Actualize.
Well, me and Henry will go through and chug through these rules. You guys go ahead, keep running with the questions.
Appreciate it, guys. Perfect. And maybe real quick, Jang, you are a verified Chibi Dino holder, so you can post a link, I think, in the Chibi Talk, just for anyone, because everyone's posting Monkz in the Chibi Talk here. You guys got to post it over in the Monkz Discord once you collab land up.
No, it banned. I just posted it, and now I can't post messages.
If you guys just in the Discord invites, if you just type in Crypto Monkz project name, it'll take you to our Discord. Links are a little finicky sometimes.
I think I don't have access to the chat anymore now.
Oh my god, Josh just dropping sneak peeks in the middle of an AMA. Oh my
Got the
lord.
ban hammer.
This guy.
Here, I should be able to put a link here in the.
Oh,
Let me see if I can without getting banned. I don't know if I can.
Oh, this is funny.
Am I gonna get banned?
All right, so for everyone listening in, click on that link. Thanks, Capper. And then go to the Collabland bot, which is right under the top category. It's called Temple Entrance. You'll find the Collabland channel. You connect up, and we got the first 10 already with the Enlightened Monk role. So just comment Monkz in your Chibi Dino's channel there, and we'll get you added up to the whitelist.
All right, so I saw a couple other questions in here about one of my favorite is actually how we tend to initialize Ascension. The proceeds from this, we're basically ideally just paying ourselves back what we put into it, which we have verified most of our wallet transactions. So we want this to live and breathe, man. This is a thing where, we want to be very, very specific about raising the right type of community that participates in this type of stuff and making sure that we get, the community to get value out of it for the most part. That's what it's about. I mean, crypto is built off of community, right? That's how we've gotten this far. So that's how we've all been able to join and talk about this stuff like we are tonight. So community is pretty much everything in harvesting and developing a really strong community of educated individuals that can vouch for us. Hence why the whole entire team is basically doxed, right? Is really important to us. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see other questions that we've gotten here.
Yeah, I'm about to go through them, Patrick. I'm just giving
it's
over in the Monkz Discord.
Yep. Not a problem.
There we go.
Let's see here. There's plenty of additional opportunities to get on the whitelist right now. So, including this one, we do have a couple more temples left.
Yeah, so the temple doors will be opening a couple more times throughout the next week and a half. So definitely keep your eyes peeled on the Crypto Monkz Twitter, on the announcements in our Discord, and we will have some definitely opportunities. I'd say a few hundred left. We'll have to add up all the numbers after the 50 of you guys come in, but we'll have a bunch more opportunities. So stay tuned on that.
Yeah, and maybe to touch on that, we just put the announcement in Monkz is that for those of you guys, the first 1,000 wallet submissions we'll have a 10-minute or so window ahead, and essentially every whitelist you will have the basically you'll have the ability to be able to mint 2, but if you solve 3 of the temples, 3 of the 8 that will end up be done by the time they're done. If you solve 3 of them, you'll have the ability to mint an extra one and be able to mint 3. Just so kind of go over that. So.
Yeah.
So another question, here, I think is how you say it. I don't know. It's like here or something like that. But any benefits to owning both? Again, that's really a community-driven project, right? So you having Chibi Dinos could definitely influence the way that this unfolds. And just so you know, I'm a Solidity engineer. I've been a Solidity engineer since actually pretty much since ETH launched, when we first started writing initial contracts. But a lot of this stuff is actually pretty easy for me to wrap around other NFT projects, which is something I thought was actually pretty unique, that I don't see a lot of other NFT projects doing. But looking forward to it.
Yep. And a couple questions about, I'm curious, are you guys taking any percentage of profits on certain plays for Ascension, for the Ascension DAO, or how is that going to work? Are any percentages determined yet? Is that something that will be publicized? How does that work with the profits?
Sorry, what was that last question? I was reading. Was that one for me?
So a couple questions about, are you guys taking a percent of the profits on certain plays for Ascension?
So Ascension has a royalty system built into it, the same way that Moloch does, or on Olympus, right? I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but mostly that's up to the community and the voting, right? So if they want to vote to liquidate shares of a DAO, for example, then that is up to the community, and that is part of the Ascension process, right? Ascension is actually the voting process. It's a feudalistic process. If you didn't catch us earlier, you basically fight to make sure that your vote goes through by taking out other members of different factions or people that are unfactioned.
Is it possible to take out the members that have the top position at the start at some point in the future?
Yes, absolutely. It wouldn't be fun if you couldn't, right?
So at some point, if the community decides they don't want Patrick making, running Ascension moving forward, they can vote him out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point of having a really autonomous organization, right?
Yeah, and one thing too, like when people saying like, what's the benefit of owning more than one? Each one is a share in the pool of the DAO or the treasury. So having more of them would essentially get you more of that, as well as potentially more influence over the DAO and what happens there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really interesting things just for people that have questions around how this stuff works now. But in Wyoming, believe it or not, you're allowed to be a decentralized autonomous organization and own a corporation in America now. So you can actually get an employee identification number, all those centralized things that we hate and fear so much, but actually bring some legitimacy and some insurance and assurance to the projects themselves. So this is something that I've helped other projects do. This is something that I'm very familiar with. Another thing is too, you can actually get FDIC insurance on proof of funds held in a bank that has crypto custody, which is also something that's very interesting. I talk to people in the financial space about this stuff all the time. So lots of cool things happening, especially for people in the decentralized world that have made a lot of money in the last few years and get some of that money back into real estate or other things. Lots of crazy things are happening right now that are going to basically shift and pivot the next 10 years of economic progress in this country. So looking forward to it. It's a very exciting time.
Question comes through.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I was gonna say, yeah. So there is how the profits work on any of this stuff. It's up to the community. The community sets what we would call or consider a royalty rate, right? So if people don't like what they can make off of doing the work, then they're just not going to do it. So obviously you have to incentivize it. I would say if you want to look into other DAO contracts that have really kind of encouraged or have built models off of this, Moloch is probably the simplest DAO out there that uses this model.
Beautiful. I'm curious. I see Cap or Houdini. You guys' mics are open. Any questions on your end? Any comments, observations?
No, I don't. I mean, not specifically. This is very exciting. I just went through the process to get whitelisted too. By the way, I'm super excited. So
Awesome,
Good
bro.
talk.
it was
Just as a heads up to you
Oh.
guys real quick too, if you are having a little bit of a difficulty with Collabland, a bunch of y'all attacked it at once, it may be having a minor stroke, so just give it a minute or two, it'll rotate around and it'll verify it.
Beautiful. All right. Let's see. Is there a link? Yes. Maybe you're responding to something else. Nirav. Let's see. It's looking like we are coming to a close. Got one last bit, Father T Boy. I'm enlightened, but I like this question, which is, since you're going to have so many people, do you think that the alpha you bring would be less valuable because everyone's jumping on board, or at least be diluted a little bit? And again, there'll be
No.
333 monks.
Yeah, so great story. Again, this is coming from a friend of mine, John Karen, who was the former CEO of the Chicago Stock Exchange, right? It depends on where you are in the information process, right? Actually, you'll do much better if you're early and the project gets shared more. Think of it like that, right? So, basically, again, if I could tell you which wallets are the most performant wallets and tell you what they're buying right now and what they're selling right now, chances are you're going to follow, right? But how much you actually, how profitable that position is for you or how timely that position is for you is all based on how quick you receive that information. So typically what will happen is you want to be someone that's very early in a project that gets a lot of attention. So sharing this information is actually an exploit. And something that you need to understand about gaming theory and the way that people work is people oftentimes share their victories. They do not share their losses. So they will continue to talk about things with a positive regard because that's how social currency works, right? Anybody that follows like Gary Vee or any of those guys should be very familiar with this concept. That's something in social influence that we take with very high regard, right? So sharing things and publishing things to an audience, it all just depends on where you are in that leak of information.
That's good.
Tenko asks, will there be a monk currency?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not going to speak to a monk currency. It's not on the paper, but officially we don't have anything that we are putting out just yet. But I would say it's very hard to operate, and this is something that again will be left up to the community. But it's very hard to operate without some kind of basic tokenomics behind what you're trying to do.
Very interesting. I would say so.
Yeah, I got one other question here from Nikki Ross, the boss. Yeah, actually, you can pretty easily making money in the NFT space, and it just depends on what kind of NFTs you're dealing with. And again, these projects that are here, these are all successful projects, right?
Josh,
Just promise us if and when there is a currency, it's if and when there is a currency, it's or something like that. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, I mean Olympus DAO. Again, I've already deployed many copies of Olympus for experiments as well as for other companies to use. So same thing with Uniswap, right? I've got many versions of Uniswap already hooked up.
Oh yeah,
Love
we
it.
just love those. What were you saying, Rob?
Josh, I was just gonna ask you, how you feeling, brother? How's it going? How you feeling about this?
I'm excited, man. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity. Obviously, to speak to the community. I've been a close friend of Sean's the last 4 years. I've seen what he's done and how he always has his finger on the pulse of the market, man. The young kid just hasn't like a sixth sense when it comes to knowing trends. So even to see 72 people here today is just it's beautiful. It's a testament to everything you guys are doing within your community. It's a testament of your leadership and just keeping your community engaged. So just happy to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome, and we are fortunate to be working alongside Sean and Ariel, and just to be at this time in life is incredible. Sasha or Houdini, do you guys have anything you want to add to the conversation tonight? Or I think kind of going a little bit past our time here, so if there's anything else we want to wrap up from our side, or did you guys have any parting comments on the Crypto Monks crew?
No, I
That's
mean, oh, go ahead,
Go ahead,
Sasha.
Rudy. Okay. Nothing from my side. I think it's exciting. I joined sadly a bit late. I was in another meeting before, but what I heard sounds really exciting and something really I think people will be crazy about. So I think it's really exciting times, as you said, and looking forward to see this all getting together.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Like Sasha, I came in a little bit late. Felt kind of like I jumped in the deep end, but I loved everything I was surrounded by and hearing. Definitely a pleasure. Your guys' project is incredibly well thought out, and I really look forward to participating in it. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys. I know we went a little bit over. I do appreciate the support.
Yep, no problem at all. So, PJ, if you ever want to come in here and spend a couple hours and drop some knowledge bombs here, just come on in every night. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm more
meet you.
than happy to. I'm not gonna lie. I'm on our community channel pretty much every night, just kind of talking about simple stuff, but most everything come after mint.
Love it.
And again, I absolutely love working with Sean in the community here at Chibi. So yeah, I would love to come back and speak about this stuff. Anything that you guys are looking forward, or any kind of products that you guys are looking to dive into, more than happy to do some kind of mastermind here with you guys.
Yeah, and what's interesting too, and you may be well aware that we're launching our token for our play to earn game coming up, in the next few months too. So just kind of even thinking and talking strategy alongside of that. So yeah, absolutely.
Let's make some markets, right? That would be really fun. I would really appreciate that.
Cool. All right.
Amazing. Thank you guys. Really appreciate you having us. And for everyone listening in, thank you for the great engagement, the questions. Congrats on everyone that's joined up. The Monkz Discord, Collab Land up and is in the Chibi Dinos channel over there. You got your own little club over in the Monkz. And excited to see you guys launching your token as well and where that brings you. So we'll definitely stay active in here. Might have to pick myself up some Dinos. Yeah, for sure. Jang, just I'm curious if you have anything to lead us out on. But as far as everything else goes, appreciate you all.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you guys all for taking the time out. I'm really, really excited to share this all with you guys, and really looking forward to having a great year ahead. So love and appreciate you guys, and looking forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Awesome. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks a ton, everybody. Take it easy.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Have a good one.
All right, fellas.